And it came to pass, when the Savior had spoken all these things to them, that he departed from their sight. And silence fell upon those who remained, a silence heavy with the weight of what had been revealed, and with the absence of the one who had revealed it. Then the hearts of the disciples were troubled, and sorrow spread among them like a shadow at dusk. They looked upon one another, yet none could steady the other, for each was shaken within himself. Fear rose up in them, and they said, "How shall we go to the nations and preach the gospel of the kingdom of the Son of Man? If they did not spare him, how will they spare us?" Thus they spoke, and their voices were filled with uncertainty, for they had heard the words, yet their understanding had not yet taken root. The memory of the Savior remained among them, but his presence no longer stood before their eyes, and they wavered between what they had seen and what they feared. But among them was Mary, called Magdalene, and she perceived the trembling of their souls. She did not turn away, nor did she join in their fear, but she rose gently in their midst, as one who carries a quiet flame in a darkened place. And she spoke to them, saying, "Do not weep and do not grieve, nor be irresolute, for his grace will be entirely with you and will protect you." Her words moved among them like a still wind, and though their fear did not depart at once, it was met by something greater than fear. For she did not speak from doubt, but from remembrance. She held within herself a certainty that had been given not through outward sign, but through inward knowing. And she continued, saying, "Rather, let us praise his greatness, for he has prepared us and made us into men." In this she reminded them not of their weakness, but of what had already been given to them. For the Savior had not left them empty, nor had he spoken in vain. What he had planted within them was not taken away by his departure. Yet even as she spoke, the weight of their sorrow lingered. For the path before them was hidden, and their hearts were not yet fully awakened to what they carried. They remembered his suffering, and the fear of suffering clung to them. They remembered his words, yet they struggled to hold them as truth in the face of their uncertainty. Still, Mary remained among them as a witness to something they could not yet see. She did not compel them, nor did she speak with force, but with a calm assurance that drew from a deeper source. For she knew that what had been revealed was not meant for a moment only, but for all who would come to hear and understand. And in this moment, her presence became a turning point, though not all perceived it. For where fear had begun to close their hearts, her words opened a narrow way, a path that led not outward first, but inward, toward the remembrance of the truth they had received. Thus the disciples sat in the tension between fear and promise, between what they had lost and what had been entrusted to them. And Mary stood among them, not as one who sought authority, but as one who bore witness to the living word within. And this is the value of these things for those who hear them even now. For as the disciples trembled in the absence of the Savior, so too do many waver when certainty is taken from their sight. Yet the teaching remains that what is given in truth does not depart with the form that revealed it. It abides within, waiting to be remembered. And so it was in those days, in the quiet after his departure, that the seed of understanding began to stir, though it had not yet broken the surface. And the voice that would call it forth had already begun to speak. And when she had spoken these words, the stillness deepened among them, and their hearts, though not yet free from fear, became quiet enough to listen. Then Peter turned to her and said, "Sister, we know that the Savior loved you more than the rest of women. Tell us the words of the Savior which you remember, which you know, but we do not, nor have we heard them." At this, Mary did not hesitate, for what had been entrusted to her was not for herself alone. She answered them, saying, "What is hidden from you, I will proclaim to you." And she began to speak, not as one recalling distant memory, but as one who had seen and received. She said, "I saw the Lord in a vision, and I said to him, 'Lord, I saw you today in a vision.' He answered and said to me, 'Blessed are you that you did not waver at the sight of me.' For where the mind is, there is the treasure." In these words, she revealed that the vision was not of the eyes alone, but of the inner knowing, where the presence of the Savior is not bound by form. And she said that she asked him, seeking understanding, "Lord, how does he who sees the vision see it? Through the soul or through the spirit?" And the Savior answered her, saying, "He does not see through the soul nor through the spirit, but the mind that is between the two. That is what sees the vision, and it is that which." And though the words given were few, they opened a great mystery before them. For the mind, which stands between soul and spirit, is the place of awakening, where truth is recognized and not merely heard. And this teaching, though spoken simply, carries within it a depth that calls each one to look within, where the true vision is revealed. Then Mary continued, and her voice carried them beyond what is seen into what is known. She spoke of the soul and its journey, as it rises from the places of bondage and passes through the powers that seek to restrain it. She told them what had been shown to her, how the soul ascends and encounters forces that question it, as if to test what it has become. And she said that the soul spoke with authority, answering each power not with fear, but with understanding. For it is written in her account that the soul declares, "I have recognized you. You did not recognize me. I served you as a garment, and you did not know me." In this, the soul reveals that it had once been bound, clothed in the forms of the world, yet not truly known by them. And as it continues, it speaks again, saying, "I have been freed from the world, and I have been released from a type, and from the chain of forgetfulness which exists in time." Thus the soul proclaims its liberation, not by force, but by knowledge, for it has come to remember what it is beyond the passing forms. And the powers, having nothing to bind in one who has awakened, fall silent before it. Mary spoke these things as one who had witnessed them, and her words carried both clarity and mystery, for the path she described was not outward, but inward and upward at once. It is a journey not measured by distance, but by the removal of ignorance and the uncovering of truth. And those who listened were drawn into this vision, though they struggled to grasp it fully. For the teaching did not rest on what can be seen with the eyes, but on what must be realized within. It called them beyond fear, beyond the memory of loss, into the recognition that the soul is not bound unless it forgets what it is. And this is the treasure held within these words for those who hear them now. For the world presents many voices that seek to define and to bind, yet the teaching of the Savior, as given in this vision, speaks of a freedom that comes through knowing, not knowledge of many things, but knowledge of the self as it truly is. And Mary, having received this, became a witness to that hidden path, revealing not a new doctrine, but the depth of what had already been given. And as she spoke, the veil between what is heard and what is understood began, if only slightly, to be lifted among them. And when Mary had spoken these things, a silence came upon them once more. Yet it was not the same silence as before, for now it was filled with tension, as if the words she had given stirred not only wonder, but also resistance within their hearts. Some received her words with quiet reflection, holding them as one holds a flame in the wind, uncertain yet unwilling to let it go. But others were troubled, not only by what she had said, but by the one who had said it. Then Andrew spoke, and he answered the others, saying, "Say what you wish about what she has said, but I do not believe that the Savior said this. For certainly these teachings are strange ideas." And his words fell among them like a stone cast into still water, breaking the fragile calm that had begun to form. And Peter also rose, and he questioned them concerning these matters. He said, "Did he really speak privately with a woman and not openly to us? Are we to turn and all listen to her? Did he prefer her to us?" In these words was revealed the struggle that had taken hold among them, not only a doubt of the teaching, but a resistance of the heart. For they had walked with the Savior, They had heard his voice, and yet now they were confronted with something that did not come through the order they had known. And they wavered, not because the truth was absent, but because it appeared in a form they did not expect. Then Mary wept, for their words were heavy upon her. And she said to Peter, "My brother Peter, what do you think? Do you think that I have thought this up myself in my heart, or that I am lying about the Savior?" And her voice carried both sorrow and sincerity, for she did not defend herself with pride, but with the truth of what she had received. Yet even in her weeping, she did not withdraw, nor did she deny what had been entrusted to her. For what she had spoken was not born of her own will, but of the revelation given to her, and she held to it even as it was questioned. Then Levi rose, and he spoke with firmness, yet without anger. And he said to Peter, "Peter, you have always been hot-tempered. Now I see you contending against the woman like the adversaries." And he continued, "But if the Savior made her worthy, who are you then to reject her? Surely the Savior knows her very well. That is why he loved her more than us." In these words, Levi did not elevate Mary above the others in pride, but he called them back to remembrance. For the measure of worth was not given by human order, nor by outward position, but by the knowing of the Savior, who sees beyond what is visible. And he said further, "Rather let us be ashamed and put on the perfect man, and separate as he commanded us and preach the gospel, not laying down any rule or other law beyond what the Savior said." Thus he turned their attention away from dispute and toward the path that had been set before them. And his words stood among them as a correction, not only of speech, but of understanding. For the conflict that had arisen revealed something deeper, the struggle between what is received inwardly and what is accepted outwardly. And this struggle is not bound to that moment alone, but continues wherever truth is spoken and yet not easily received. For those who hear these words now, the same question is set before them, whether truth is to be measured by expectation or whether it is to be recognized by its light, even when it comes through an unexpected voice. And in this, the text reveals its enduring power, for it does not only tell of those who once doubted, but of the nature of doubt itself. Thus the gathering was divided for a moment, not in their purpose, but in their understanding. And yet through this division, something was revealed, that the path of knowledge is not without challenge, and that even those who have heard may struggle to accept what is given. And Mary remained among them, not seeking to overcome them, but standing as one who had seen. And Levi stood also, bearing witness that what is given by the Savior cannot be diminished by the doubts of men. And in this tension, the way forward began to take shape, though it had not yet been fully embraced. After Levi had spoken, his words did not fade quickly, but lingered among them like a quiet echo that settles into the depths of the heart. The sharpness of their dispute began to soften, and the unrest that had stirred within them gave way to a more careful reflection. Each one looked inward, weighing not only Mary's testimony, but his own readiness to receive what had been revealed. A change came upon them slowly, as memory returned with greater clarity. They recalled the ways of the Savior, how he had often spoken in hidden sayings, and how not all things were given openly to all. In this remembrance, their resistance began to loosen, for they perceived that the truth is not diminished by the vessel through which it is given. Thus Mary's words were no longer seen as a challenge to them, but as a call to deeper understanding. Mary herself remained steady among them. She did not seek to persuade by force, nor to defend herself with many words, but stood in the quiet strength of one who has seen. Her witness was not loud, yet it endured, and its presence worked gently upon those who were willing to hear. Gradually, their attention turned away from dispute and returned to the command that had first gathered them together. The purpose set before them had not been taken away, nor had it been altered by their moment of doubt. They remembered that they had been entrusted with a message, one that could not remain hidden if it was to fulfill its purpose. In this awakening, they took courage, though uncertainty had not entirely left them. It is written that they began to go forth to proclaim and to preach, not as those who possess all answers, but as those who carry a living word. Their strength did not come from certainty in themselves, but from trust in what had been given to them. They held fast to the saying, "Let us rather be ashamed, and put on the perfect man," and in this they understood that their calling required transformation within. The work before them was not to establish power, nor to claim authority over one another, but to embody what they had received. To put on the perfect man is to walk in alignment with truth, allowing it to shape both word and deed. Thus they prepared themselves, not with outward signs of strength, but with an inward readiness. What had been revealed openly, and what had been given in secret, they carried together, knowing that each would find its place according to the heart that received it. Some would hear only the surface, while others would be drawn into the depth, yet the word itself remained whole. Fear still lingered at the edges of their thoughts, yet it no longer ruled them as before. The memory of the Savior's presence and the truth he had spoken stood greater than their fear. In this, they learned that doubt does not destroy what is true, but reveals the need for deeper faith. Mary's testimony continued to dwell among them, not as something separate, but as part of the greater witness they now bore. She remained as one who had received and shared, and her role was neither diminished nor exalted beyond measure, but recognized in its place within the unfolding of what had been given. For those who hear these words now, the same movement is revealed. The path of truth is not without struggle, nor does it remove all uncertainty at once. Yet it shows that what is received inwardly can endure outward trials, and that understanding grows not through force, but through willingness. Their going forth marked not an ending, but a beginning. The message they carried was not a fixed form, but a living presence, one that would continue to unfold in those who received it. Each step they took extended what had been spoken, carrying it beyond that place into the lives of others. Thus the account comes to its quiet close, yet it does not end. The voice that spoke to them continues to speak wherever there are those who seek to hear. What was once hidden is not lost, but waits to be known, and the responsibility given to them remains with all who receive these words with an open heart.